that about us.
I 100% agree. There's something that's so like, I feel like that's why I became an artist was I started putting out music because I wanted to perform, like
Yeah,
get me
exactly.
on the road, put me in coach.
Exactly. But I
I'm
interrupted
curious
you. I'm
as
sorry.
to,
You were saying, so you had
oh,
this beautiful moment. You played your show for the
oh,
first time last
sorry.
week.
Oh, right. I get so easily distracted. So thank you. But yeah, I was standing on stage and I just felt so powerfully because I've been making a lot of goals lately of like, I want to get to the next level. I would love to play arena someday. Like I've
Totally.
been focusing so much on that and visualizing it and all the things. And I looked out at the audience and it wasn't even a sold out show in a smaller venue, but I was so consumed by gratitude to the point where I was like
Yeah.
kind of laughing, but I was also like almost on the verge of
Totally.
tears. And I just realized like, yeah, I want that. And I think I can get it someday, but honestly, I don't need it. I'm so
This is
happy with
also
what I
enough.
have.
Yeah. Like, I think
This
that's,
is enough.
yeah. And how beautiful is this and how lucky am I? I have goosies all over my body, just as you say that. I had a moment that was very like, maybe as Oprah would say, an aha moment. And I wonder if this
Yes.
kind of speaks to you or if you've had your version of this, where I realized that the first 10 years of my career, and you and I have been on this like this path for, we're a decade in, like,
I
we're
know.
doing this. Whoa,
I know. At this point, people can say they grew up to our music, which is
whoa.
like
I don't want to,
terrifying.
no,
I
I
don't want to
can't.
hear it. No, thanks.
No, I don't want to. But I had this moment where I realized the first 10 years, decade of my career, this huge part of my life, all of my the reason that behind everything the reason I worked hard, the like subheading under Betty Who, one day this will all be worth it. Like if I do this, like it was all
Mm,
for the carrot in front of the treadmill.
yeah.
I was on the treadmill at 12% incline, power walking, being like, but I'm going to get there. But one day I'm going to make it to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And I realized that if my entire work ethic is based off of gratification at the end of it, like
Yeah.
something is going to happen that's going to make this all worth it. I realized, and I've seen it in other artists who I respect, who are older than me, that I got to see, especially when I was a lot younger, and watch them from kind of a close enough distance to see like, oh, when that is the way that you do your career, your life, those moments happen that are the moments that are, this is what makes it all worth it. And they mean nothing because you're so focused on, it's not enough. I've been working my ass off. I deserve more because I did this with the intention of getting something back. It has to be about results. It's about
Yeah.
what, like something that you genuinely cannot control. Like I can't make the Recording Academy like nominate me for a Grammy. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't do
100%. Yeah.
anything but make the music that I believe in and then let it go, which is of course like easier said than done a million times over. But it was such a crazy moment
Totally.
for me to realize that the entire like, motivation for me had been coming from the wrong place, and it had to be about the actual, I had to shift, and I'm really trying to now be in the moment when I'm in the moment. I'm
Mm,
on the music video set, and I'm not thinking about, I'm doing this because this video is going to be amazing. It's going to play on MTV. I'm doing it because I'm like, isn't this cool? I'm spending the day on set making a video for my song. It's like, it's so
yes.
easy to have my brain be 6 months in advance being like, this is all for this other thing. And now I'm just trying to be like, here's how I spent the day today with a bunch of cool creative people who wanted to make a 3-minute video that costs more than I understand why. And like, I can't believe that all
Yeah.
these people want to do this thing with me. Like, who cares if it even comes out? This is how I spent my time. All of the other stuff I don't have control over, and I've been so obsessed about it for so long that then it just made it so hard for me to enjoy any of it. And then I was like, well, I'm doing this wrong, because if I'm miserable,
Yeah.
then like nobody wins.
Yeah. And it is crazy how much like mindset just can literally change everything. Like you're saying, it's the same exact situation. You're sitting at the music video set and you're either like not present and thinking about the future, or you have the opportunity to love the moment. And and I've realized that about myself. Like, writing has always been really hard for me. And I say that way too often because my mindset, a lot of times when I walk into these writing sessions, is a mindset of like,
this is really hard for me.
This is really hard for me, and I'm showing up and, the studio almost has this, like when I say that word in my mind, it almost paints a picture before I even walk in the room. And I've really been trying to reverse that of like, no, when I get to go in and have the shot to like write a great song. And who knows, like you said, who knows if it's going to turn into anything, but I got to spend the day creating. No one's judging me. No one cares. Like, that's all in my brain. And like you said, it's just crazy how much just a simple shift in mindset literally changes everything.
Well, and I don't know how you feel about this, because it's kind of like sometimes it's like a little wooey, but I'm big energy vibration. I really believe in that. I'm a big vibration person. So I'm like, if you're vibrating below a certain frequency, like I can't be safe around you. Like, it's very, I'm a very energetically kind of susceptible to that world. And so I also think that that's what makes me a really good performer, is because I know how to turn my frequency up to sunshine. So when I go on stage, I'm like, I am light and we are going to have the best night ever. And everybody feels that vibration. And then it helps lift everybody else's vibration up to that place. Like, spiritual leaders have this special talent, Prince has this special like, so many incredible, like, my favorite performers are the people that I genuinely believe are like vibrating at this higher frequency, and it brings everybody else up to their level. And that's what makes them special. And so when you're going into a room going, this sucks for me and I'm so bad at this, your vibration is low. And then, like, of course you're not going to get back where that space, that inspiration space lies vibrationally. Totally. Like, you have to be in the zone to let it find you and come to you and support you. And so it's really, I mean, of course, all of this is so easier said than done. Mindset is like, if all of us could just be like, cool, I'm choosing to be happy today. Isn't that great? Like, life would be better, Of course it's so hard, but we're working on it, which I think is all we can say. Good for us.
Exactly. And half the battle, I've realized, through different challenges I faced in my life, you just realize over and over and over again that, like, you're just taking one more step today. Okay, I've realized yet another thing. I've lived with myself for 35 years, and yet I've learned another, like, piece of myself that, could be worked on that I didn't even know I was struggling with. Like, it's all just about, like, becoming aware, and then, all right, I'm going to try a little bit harder tomorrow, or I'm going to try again tomorrow.
The awareness part is hard, though. Like, I think maybe quarantine, like this time away from the world for all of us, at least for me, was the time of real self-actualization and discovery, because I was looking at myself basically being like, okay, I validate myself so like often from the world. The world helps validate me all the time. I go to a coffee shop and someone's like, love your outfit. And I'm like, thanks, babe. And then my day is made and then I'm happy. If I don't have that external validation, how do I get that high? How do I do that for myself? And so a lot of self-awareness kind of work came out of that. And I'm really excited about all of the art that people are making now coming out of this time, because we all went away and we're like, cool, who am I without the rest of the world? Like, we all became really individual, and it's so exciting. I'm so excited about the art that comes out of a time like this. I think it might be really, like, spectacular.
Absolutely. And, I feel like we artists get a little bit of a crutch in a bad way, because, I feel like when I first started my career, I was really used to being my own cheerleader from, like, the inside and believing in myself from the inside. And, then you go out and you perform a lot and you release music and people like it. And, like, you're like, inner validation gets pretty lazy, you realize, because you're like,
everyone's doing it for me.
Everyone's doing it for me. And then in moments when it's taken away, like when you first get off a tour and you're like, oh my gosh, like, like, you kind of go through that.
I don't get applause for pouring myself a cup of coffee today. This sucks.
Right? Where's the cheers? It's 9 o'clock. Like, but I'm curious, like, okay, first of all, I love the woo-woo stuff. I'm so into like energy and breath work. And so I am curious, like, I know we're on the same page here for sure. So like, what are some of the things that you do personally to like lean into that side of yourself?
Um, for me, time a lot of time for me in front of the mirror. This is kind of a performance thing, but it's also like a putting myself back into my own body. I think because I'm so externally validated, it's hard for me to sit in a room, even like write something on a piece of paper and get out of my head. There's something about like literally staring at myself in the mirror. This is weird, maybe now that I'm saying it out loud, but
This is
seeing
cool.
myself in the mirror and being like, you're a person, you're here. That's your face. This is your body. Like, this is the world. It's like grounding stuff, right? You're like, okay,
yes,
I can see myself. I don't have to be afraid or insecure about what is happening on my outside right now because I am perceiving myself. Okay, we'll take that off the table. Now what else is there? And so I spent a lot of time in the last 2 years basically locking myself in a room and like, it's big Bruce Springsteen energy. Just like moving in front of a mirror to be like, cool, how do I get better at looking like I am being perceived on stage at all times? Like if I pop my hip this way, I actually look better if I pop my hip to the left instead of to the right. So I'm going to try and remember to always make that choice instead because it is a better line for me. A lot of that really like specific and intense sort of self-critiquing in front of the mirror has actually like kind of changed my life and the way I perceive myself and how I talk to myself, because it brought me outside of my head in this really really important way for me personally to be able to sort of bring myself out of this crazy, like I can get really lost in my mind palace, if you will. And I'm like in the basement of the mind palace and I've lost the key and I'm like, I don't know how to get back out. And that's kind of a surefire way for me to do that. That and like belly breaths and stuff like that, of course. I'm a big like heavy deep breathing. My husband will look at me all the time and be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just breathing. I'm just chilling.
Oh yeah. Breath work. I've recently started to get into just like the different breath work exercises, and it has been life-changing. Like I'm so new to it, but just, learning how to center and calm my nervous system in any ways. But I also just love what you described about how you look in the mirror, because it sounds like it's a tool for like kind of like your mental health, but also to make you a powerful performer. It's almost like this multifaceted like exercise. That sounds really cool.
And I think that the part of me, I think that the part of me that is a good performer is also like really connected to my higher self. I've always felt that way. I feel like music is magic. I feel like being able to access that feeling when you're having the show of your life and you feel like lightning. You are, you're so electric when you tap into that space. That to me is like the same thing as like spiritual enlightenment for me, is the same thing as accessing that part of myself while I'm on stage. Like I genuinely believe in the power of healing through music. And so I
agree.
This like weird staring at myself in the mirror because I want to be the best performer I can be, like also being this strange, actually like self-actualization work that I'm doing is kind of, it makes a lot of sense when I think about the fact that I think that part of me is so intertwined and connected. And that's what I'm really trying to tap into. I want to be on stage and have people perceive me and experience me and feel like it's otherworldly. I think that that's really special when you feel somebody's energy is that big.
Yes.
I think I'm trying to strive to continue to grow myself in that space.
That's incredible. And, you just made me think of something. So your exercise of like looking in the mirror, it kind of reminded me of years ago when I was in college. I was really deep and struggling with anorexia and pretty severe depression. And like, I was completely lost. And when I started, I guess when I got aware that there was a problem and I started going through the process of recovery and trying to gain control of my life again, one of the tools that I kind of just invented for myself, like no therapist ever told me to do this, but was looking in the mirror and like looking into my own eyes and spending time with myself. And at first it was just like looking at myself. And then it became like saying things to myself, like about how I wanted to feel. And then, and it's interesting now, years later, I'm very much past that battle. But now when I do kind of a similar thing is like now because I overcame that part of myself, I have the ability to look in a mirror now from a very different perspective as being like, when I'm in rehearsals at like thinking about how my body moves and it's really, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think that if we can't get past those first phases of like being able to look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself, there's no way you're going to be able to think about how to perform or take the experience of your life to the next level.
Yeah. And like, I'm thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm so glad that you're in a place where you're like, cool, I'm past this part, but what a crazy journey I went on. Like, you know, congratulations to you for overcoming that. I know that it's not easy. But
Thank you.
I think that relationship with self, I had this really like crazy experience. I was filming a music video for this record that I'm working on right now, coming out, the first music video for the album. And so it was like my first time back on a set, you know, just like, I felt like I was standing at the top of the cliff that I've jumped off a million times, like looking over the edge, being like, okay, am I really doing this again? Like we are really going for it. So I felt a lot of fear. I felt a lot of sort of like emotional release. I think I was very present to just how much pain I felt like I was in about it. And I tried not to let that mean anything other than, yeah, you've had some really hard times in this space and you're trying to make it less hard, and it feels hard now and it'll feel less hard later, and just trying to feel it, right? And so I was on my way over to the music video set and I just couldn't stop crying. And it wasn't like, I don't want to be there. There was no reason. I was just so emotional. I was sobbing. I had to pull the car over because I was like, I'm dangerous driving. Like I need to take a second and center myself and really like figure myself out. I turned my car. I pulled over to this residential street. I climbed into the back of my Jeep, turned the car off. I rolled some of the windows down so there was fresh air in the car, and I laid in the back seat. I cried for another 5 minutes, and then out loud, which is like I don't often talk to myself actually out loud. Out loud, I was like, okay, it's just you and me here, babe. Me to me, me to myself. It is just you and me here. What do you need? I know you're in pain because I'm in your body and I feel it, and I'm sorry, and it's real. Do you need somebody to validate it for you? I am validating it for you right now. I feel it too. It hurts. I'm so sorry. We have to go. We've got to go do this thing, and we've got to get it together, and we're going to do it. And that relationship with self and trying to hone in on that place of like, the person and the version of me in my mind that like has the suit and tie on and is like, all right, babe, like get up one more round. Like you can do this. Like that encouragement place in myself. I'm trying to give her more power to come out when she needs to come out, to put the sort of depressed me in the corner and be like, I know that you're in pain. I love you. I'll come back for you. Just chill for a second. We can't come with us. You know, it's like in, what's the Pixar movie, Inside Out? It's like sadness. You cannot come with us. Like you have to stay here. And I'm sorry that you're sad. And I love you. We will be back for you. And then my sort of top hat jazz hands kid has to come out and be like, okay, I'm going to go give them the razzle dazzle and I'll figure this out later.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really, really powerful. You know, and I love the ability, like you said, this self-awareness, this self-compassion, this ability to see that like I have different sides of me, you know, and like we can't always feel powerful, but we can like borrow from the different sides of ourselves to like pull ourselves through things. Like that's really, really cool. And was that where the music video Blow Up My Candle?
It was, yes, it was. Which is funny, like, which that song is literally about exactly that, being like, I'm going to keep going no matter what. And I'm like sobbing outside the gym, being like, okay, I have to go do this.
Oh my gosh, but you did though. It's like you had a moment where you were, you know, in a state that you couldn't do it. And then you pulled yourself and you kept going. Like and by the way, I watched that music video just the other day, as, you know, I knew I was going to be interviewing you. And I was like, what, dang. That music video is really powerful. Like, I love that. It's very impressive that you took such long takes. So it was very much about like a full performance that you couldn't just edit around and be like, oh, I look good in this 2 seconds over here, and I look really strong here. It was literally like long sections, like a full chorus. Was that nerve-wracking at all, or was that always the intent?
Yeah, that was definitely the choice. We talked a
Mm.
lot about what I wanted to do for the music videos on this album, and the thing I keep coming back to, again, like full circle to what we talked about at the top of this, is like, what's this all for? I want to go on tour. That's what I really care about. Music videos are fun to make. I don't think I make the best music videos on the planet because I am so aesthetically, I'm like, cool. Like, I love making music videos. This isn't my 10,000 hours. I've made like 8 of them and
Mm.
I get a little bit better every time, but I'm not going to hold myself to some crazy standard. So, with that being said, if I'm not out here trying to prove to myself that I can make the best video of all time, like, let's lower the stakes a little bit. What do I really want to do? And it ended up being that I want to, again, continue to show people, no, I'm a performer and this is what I do on stage every night. And it's even more impactful in person. You should come see the show.
Yes. Well,
Instead of pretending
as
like
I
I'm
watched,
pretty in every angle and I'm, like I don't really need to prove to myself some Hollywood version of myself exists where I look better than I've ever looked. I'm like, no, here's my body. It's in a leotard. You're seeing all of it. Like, there's no I'm 6'2". I am in the gym all the time and I still look pretty normal. Like, I'm not some crazy fitness model or like I'm so real, for better and for worse. And I think that is what I'm now trying to really lock into in the music videos, being like, I'm not hiding anything. I'm not pretending anymore that I'm somebody that I'm not. This is who I am. It's all here. If you like it, thank you. If you don't, that's totally chill.
yeah, well, I'm just going to say, like, you may not think your music videos are like, your 10,000 hour best strength or however you put it, but I don't know. I watched that, blow out my candle video and I was like, I have to see her live. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I thought exactly
then I
what
did the thing. That's
you
exactly
said.
what I wanted.
Because your energy, I just like her attitude, like everything about it. It felt like a live performance because of the long takes. And anyways, I thought it was really cool. And I also just like how you keep saying kind of this theme of, that's not my thing. So I'm not going to be precious with that. I'm not going to let that keep me up at night and make me lose sleep or make me feel bad about myself, because that's like a box I'll check, but it's not my thing. And as an artist,
I don't want
like,
to be a music video director. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I want to perform. Like, I have to do this other thing. And I think something that I never expected, this whole art, like being an artist, is so much about not the stuff that you're really good at.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I didn't go to business school, and I've spent the last decade trying to figure out how to be where's the CEO and president of like me for Betty Who Productions and you Lindsey Stirling Productions. Like, we are literally in charge of like these businesses, companies, and I'm like, what do I know about that? Well, I can't believe I'm being let to be in charge of this stuff. And so there was such a learning curve that, like, the week I signed my first record deal, I was 21 years old. And I go into the offices at RCA and I'm talking to all the different departments, and I have this huge list of stuff they need from me. And I remember I looked at my roommate in New York and I said to her, I have a feeling that my career is going to be 90% stuff that I have no business doing. That's what I'm going to be doing. And then the 10% of the time that I actually get to do what I'm really good at, like, I don't think that that's actually the meat of what this really is.
It really is interesting, because I remember having that exact same thought of like, holy crap, I'm a businesswoman and I'm not a businesswoman, but I am. I have 100%. To be. And like, secondly, you realize like, I should have taken like marketing classes. Like, I don't know how to be a marketer or an advertiser, but you're constantly kind of having to be like an expert in social media and marketing and advertising and all of it. But okay, I'm curious, you signed with RCA years ago, but you're now independent, right?
So I just signed a deal with BMG. This is my first like official record deal. We have an amazing kind of situation where I have a lot of creative control. I can't imagine, I won't say never, of course. I'm always open to anything, but I can't imagine myself walking into a situation where I don't have creative control over my own music. I have found that I love being a part of creative teams where I am not in charge. That is actually something I really enjoy, is being like, you guys tell me what you need and I will do my best to make that thing. When it comes to my music, like Betty Who albums, that is the one thing that I go like, I don't want a single fucking note. I don't want to, you know, I'm delivering the record and I need you guys to help sell it, but I don't need you to sit in a room and tell me what you think my album should be doing. I'm not doing that with you. Any other creative project, I'm such a collaborator. I love to be a team player. Betty Who is the only place that I go, no, I don't want to hear your feedback. I want you to sell the album that I hand in. And so I've signed this deal with BMG that is really, honestly, you know, obviously I'm only 6 months into it. We're just kind of getting started, but I'm very impressed. I feel very supported. I don't really know what it's like to feel supported by a record label. And
that's amazing.
I went into the offices a couple weeks ago in New York and they had a cake for me and everybody came out and I met everybody and talked to everyone. And I got really choked up, but I was like, this is embarrassing. It's 10 a.m. I should be cool. But I was just like, I don't know if I realized how badly I needed a team to step up and be like, we really believe in you and want to support you. And I don't know if I knew how much I missed that. And to have them be doing that right now, I'm really, really excited about it.
That is amazing because, like you said, that's not always the norm in our industry. So I'm so happy for you that you found that relationship with them. And I love also hearing you say that you got choked up, you know, in a moment where you're like, I'm supposed to be professional.
100%. Like I should be way more cool than this. Like I shouldn't be crying in front of my record label being like, I really need this, you guys. But I fully was.
It should be like, oh yeah, of course, you know, of course you guys believe in me. Totally. And of course you're like 100% behind me.
The norm, but it isn't.
This should be, right. I had this thing happen one time where I was going to do this little showcase in front of a bunch of like music publishers, you know, that are like sync teams and hoping that they would sync my music and things. And, you know, it was a pretty, you know, decent sized like conference room of people. And I didn't know my team was going to do this, but they played a promo reel of like kind of the trajectory of my career from beginning till now. And I started crying.
Just sobbing. I'm dead.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. What artist gets choked up by their own promo reel? But I was like, I was just like, I just got to watch my entire journey happen in a flash. And that was really special. Okay, now let me play you a song.
100%. No, it's so special. And it's like, it's nice to, I don't know. I think I spent a long time being so, just so in pain about the whole thing, you know, so in resistance, speaking of mindset, so in resistance, just not being able to quite figure out my way around, holding the grip so tight that everybody is suffocating. And there's a couple songs, there's some music on my record that I have yet to listen to one of the songs and it doesn't make me cry like every single time. And I think to myself, like, how is this going to be when I'm live on stage and I'm going to cry every night? And I'm like, and how beautiful is that? Because I'm that's amazing, genuinely grateful and moved to be making music that feels this honest and like me. And how raw and vulnerable that feels, but also how gratifying and proud I am of myself for being vulnerable enough to go, I don't care if everybody hates it. I have to be myself. It's really the first time in my life I think I've actually been able to do that genuinely.
That's incredible. Well, I can't wait to see one of your shows live because I also looked up some videos of you like performing live. And again, same with like your music video. I'm like, dang, she's so energetic. Like you dance, you put on a freaking show. And I can tell you love it when I watch it. Yeah, it's amazing. And so I actually wanted to play Blow Up My Candle because we talked about the music video. You're talking about your new music. And this is, you've released 2 singles this year. This is one of them. And is this leading up to an album this fall?
Yes, album comes out October 14th. So I think we have one more single, I believe, before the actual album, which will be the title track of the record. Will come out, I think, a couple weeks before the album, and then it's out. And we go. We're doing tour next year. We haven't announced it yet, but we're looking at dates right now and just locking everything in. So it feels really like I am it's all happening, and I'm also
all happening.
I often look around and I'm like, I am so grateful for this moment in my life, knowing that, you know, the good and the bad, like this too shall pass, does not just mean about like a rainstorm and the sun will come out. It also means that when the sun is out, like rain is somewhere on the horizon too. And so I'm just trying to be
yes.
really present to like, this is my life today, and I love my life today, and my life will be different tomorrow, and I can't wait to see what the universe is going to throw at me, you know?
Absolutely. I love that, because I
Yeah.
feel like the older you get, you realize, like, I don't know, our emotions are very complex and they overlap.
Oh,
Like,
tell me
you know,
about it, sister.
when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I'm happy or I'm sad. And then as you grow up, you realize, oh, I can feel joy even when I'm going through a hard time. I can be happy for somebody, but still feel a little bit sad. Like, it all overlaps, and it's just about being like, this is where I'm at right now. That is okay. And that is okay to feel. And like, you know, what are we going to focus on? But that's really cool. Is there anything you want to say about Blow Out My Candle before we play it for our listeners?
I think mostly the thing I really wanted to do with this song, I think a lot of the music on the record, I'm trying to write a little bit less selfishly these days. I'm trying to be like, cool, here's what I need to hear. But also, I felt this way when I was listening to, I don't know if you're as big of a Beyonce fan as I am, but there's a song on her new record called Church Girls that's like, that there's a part in it where she's like, she's just doing the best she can, and she's like comfortable with herself, and she loves herself, and like, you know, we're proud of her for that is basically what the lyrics are. And it literally made me choke up the first time I heard it, because I was like, I am doing the best I can, Beyonce.
Yeah.
And so I want to make music that also makes people go like, yeah, like I can do it. Like, oh my God, I didn't know that I needed to hear these words of support. And so the song is basically just about like, hey, like nobody can stop you from being yourself. The only person who is standing in your way is you. Like nobody's going to take me down. I will keep moving. Again, like you said, like I'm taking one step forward today, and that is enough. And I did it. It's kind of about that. And I want to encourage people to like continue to believe in themselves and not give up.
Absolutely. And you feel it in this song. And I'm just telling everybody, you have to go watch the music video as well for this. So this is Blow Out My Candle. That's such a good song.
Yay, thank you.
I literally am in a hotel room like by myself in my PJs, and I just found myself like, you can't help but dance to your music, which is why I like love it so much.
Oh, thank you. I want to get people moving and grooving. That's my ultimate goal. So I'm so glad.
Well, I'm sure you do. And I mean, I feel like when you put out like your debut single, which was Somebody Loves You, it was everywhere. I just remember that song exploding, and like I just remember me reacting to it. I remember seeing like a bunch of people on the internet like doing wedding proposal videos to it. There's that one that was like super viral, which is incredible. So like such a production. But like, I don't know, how is it been to see people across the world like react like that to your music, and for it to be involved in such personal parts of people's lives?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think it's probably the most special part about the community that I've gotten to make music for and with is this and I don't have obviously any other experience of it, right? Like I didn't grow up with famous parents or knowing anybody in the business. So I have no idea what like fan interactions and experiences in a community like that is supposed to be like. You know, you watch like documentaries about incredibly famous people, and they like can't talk to anybody or go to the grocery store. And you're like, cool, that's not what I'm experiencing. You know, I have such a different relationship to people who love my music. And the thing that continuously rocks my world, and maybe this is true for everybody, maybe it's individual, the way that people come up to me and share themselves with me. And I know it's so interesting, because with music, you know, it's not like I'm in a TV show that people loved my character and then they meet me and they're like, oh, you're not that character. That's so weird. It's like people listen to our music and they listen to our stories and our life. And then you meet them and they go, I know everything about you. And you're like, totally, you really do. Isn't this strange? I've never met you before. And so the way that people feel comfortable then, because they feel like they know me, to show up as themselves and go, hey, I know I have 2.5 minutes with you. I've been waiting 6 years to tell you I got divorced. It was the worst thing ever that happened. This is the song that saved my life. Whatever the thing is, it gives me goosebumps. It makes literally almost want to cry just talking about it. I feel so shook, to be honest. And so immensely grateful to
Mm-hmm.
have spoken to a part of people that is that part, is the gushy, like I needed somebody to save me, and this music made me feel like I could make it through. That was never, I don't know how to write, you know, I think I'm better at it now because I've been doing it long enough and I know which songs speak to which parts of people. And I just
Yeah.
think that, but at the beginning, especially Somebody Loves You, I was 18 when I wrote that song. It's a breakup song. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea what I was doing. And then all of a sudden it's in a viral proposal video and I'm laughing to myself being like, LOL at this being a breakup song nobody even knows.
Right.
So I wasn't aware enough or tapped in enough to like the creative process to actively go, I'm going to write a song that's people are going to fall in love to, and it's going to change people's lives and it's going to be the soundtrack to relationships. I was writing a song in a basement. And then that grew so far beyond me. And it does. Somebody Loves You. It's funny when you played it earlier. I was listening. It's the first time in a long time that I just like listened to the song. I don't know if you have this where you're like, yeah, I play these all the time. So I don't listen to my own music on Spotify. And then you hear a song from 10 years ago and you're like, oh, I haven't listened to this vocal. Like I haven't like critically listened to this song in 10 years. And just
you're like that mix and that performance.
Yeah, 100%. Like, whoa. And I was thinking as we were listening to it, I was like, it doesn't even feel like it. I don't even know who that is singing. One, it doesn't even feel like mine anymore. It kind of feels like a cover song that I'm lucky enough to get to sing every night. Like I'm so far away from the girl who wrote it that I'm just grateful for the fact that it's in my catalog, because I would never write that song today. Never. Like, it's just so beautiful, the kind of the way that time changes your art and takes it so out of your hands in so many ways that now I feel like when I meet the art again, when I go to perform it live and have this new relationship to it, I'm meeting it in the middle as opposed to like holding it hostage in a basement while I'm writing it. Now I come back and the art has its own life and its own legs and its own, you know, shelf that it's been living on, and we both meet in the middle, and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to do this all over again? And that's kind of the new relationship I have to my old music, at least.
Yeah, the way you describe it is like I've never thought of it exactly like that, but I'm like, that's 100% so true. You know, and it's in some way
grown so much. You and I both. You've been doing this for as long as I have. It's like, how could I relate at all to 18-year-old me who wrote that song? Like, how can you think about 20-year-old Lindsey, who's like a totally different person and human being now, but you're playing songs that you have been playing since then? It's such a strange experience. It's like a time machine.
I was just going to say, it's like a little time capsule for like a person and an emotion you used to have. And I also love that, you know, I guess I'm so grateful that like the annoyance of recording music is like, you're like, oh no, now it's frozen like this forever. And, you know, that performance is captured and I can't change it anymore. But like, thank heavens it is, because kind of like you were saying, I would never write the way I wrote my first album. I wouldn't write like that now. And if I was to do it today, I probably would have written it completely different. But like, thank heavens that chapter is like kind of just frozen, like this little time capsule. And, you know, and the songs like do mean different things as you grow as an artist, but they still will always take you back to like that person, that girl. Yeah.
Well, and like, speaking of trying to hold everything with a little bit of a looser grip, like I used to be so, I've just turned in my album like 2 weeks ago. So we just finished it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. How do you feel?
I feel slightly detached, just because it was such an intense experience. But now that it's done, I'm like, oh my god, I can't listen to these songs. I can't believe it's done. I think I've taken a little bit of a step back to just like, whoa. Totally. But I also just, it's funny, as I was finishing the record and I was listening to these final mixes and we're giving last notes, and it's just been such a haul, and I'm hearing all of these things in the music that I want to change for the show as I'm listening to these songs that are supposed to be finished. And I'm like, oh, again, I don't think that I'm Rick Rubin. I don't think that I'm the person who has the best ear, who can give the best mix notes that's so specific about EQing stuff. And I'm like, no, again, my 10,000 hours are on stage. I'm going to let
Yeah.
all the people who are smarter than me, who go, this is good, and I'm happy with this. Like, I will probably never, it will never be enough. I don't have enough perspective or distance from myself. I have to let this go, because I don't listen to these once they're finished. Again, like listening to Somebody Loves You for the first time in 10 years. This album's going to come out and I'm not going to go to Spotify and stream it. I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be like working on the live arrangement that I'm then going to go play every night. So the way that I carry these songs now that it's done has nothing to do with what it actually sounds like on the record. You know, it's like,
right
now I get to go make them alive. That's my favorite part, is they come alive on stage. You breathe life in a room into these songs. And I go, cool. Like, I think the record's finished, mostly because I'm too tired to care about another mix. And like,
totally,
it's there. I'm going to make a million changes when I'm doing the thing that I know how to do better than anybody else. So like, I hope everybody loves these songs the way that they are. And I hope they speak to other people, because those are the other people. Those are the people who are going to be actually consuming it. Like, that's not really, I'm not going to do that now. And how cool and weird, and like, to let go of the pressure of myself of like, how's it going to sound on Spotify? I'm like, why do I fucking care? I'm never going to listen to it on Spotify. Everybody else is, and that's sick for you guys. I'm never going to. I'm going to be singing it live somewhere, you know, in wherever, whatever corner of the world that we're in. And that's like, that helped me finish the record with a good mindset, because I was like, what really matters to me is when these come alive on stage. And so I think these are really good. I will always have the last set of notes. I think I'm okay. I think I can put those notes to bed. I think we can say that this is finished and we're all really proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I love hearing you just talk about being on stage. So I can't wait to see you on stage, because I can just feel the passion you have for it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, people I don't think usually understand the level of preparation that goes into planning like a headlining tour. So what is kind of like your process, or what does it look like for you as you're planning this?
Yeah, we're just sort of starting to talk about it now, so it's all happening. I think it obviously starts with an outline of what songs we really want to use. Obviously, set list is sort of where you start the whole thing. So for me, it starts with set list and music direction conversation with my MD, who I love. We talk about what songs we want to shorten, which ones have to be in it. How do we put the hits in a place that makes everybody happy? So I think we start with set list, and then it's choreography, it's staging. And that's the thing that I am really excited about on this tour, because I think I have so much education in music. I went to performing arts high school. I was a classical cellist for years. Like, music is something that I know how to do.
I meant to talk to you about that. We jumped straight into so much deep stuff, but I was like, we're string sisters. Oh my gosh.
We are string sisters. It's pretty powerful.
When are we going to do, oh my gosh, we should do like a duet cover of one of your new album songs, just for like TikTok, or like do
I already know which one it is.
Violin. How fun would that be?
I'm literally, I'm going to ping you offline for this, because I already know what we're doing. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing would make me happier. Honestly, that would be I would be so honored.
Because I saw that you played cello, and I was like, I wonder if that was like something she was forced to do as a kid, or I wonder if she still plays. Like, no, and that makes me so happy.
I think that cello for me was my scapegoat for, I really want to do music, but when you're 5 years old and you're like, I want to be a pop star, and then the next person's like, and I'm going to be a firefighter, and I'm like, no, I mean it, and everybody else is like, and I'm going to be a fighter pilot. You know, that's kind of cello was my way to get the education that I really wanted, and to be playing music every day. I wanted to be like the music kid, and I always was. You know, I was like coming in late from class because I'd had band and whatever. I was always doing. I was always the music kid. And so cello was my excuse for basically a decade of my childhood, being like, this is how everybody takes this seriously, even though I'm the least serious cello player I've ever met in my life. It gave me this like route into classical music, which I'm still so passionate about, and to jazz and all this other kind of like traditional theory. And then I ended up when I told my parents, my poor parents, after they'd put me through, you know, all of this cello education for 10, 12 years of my life, I tell my parents that I want to go to school for songwriting and singing, they were like, ugh, like full heart attack. Oh my God, please don't do this test. It worked out fine.
Oh
We're all
my
cool.
gosh.
But this album is the first album that I played cello on. So that's really,
oh my gosh.
so we had, this is the song that I play cello on is the one that we should do something with, because it's really, it's perfect for that.
Love it. And are you going to play the cello in your show, do you think, at all?
I haven't decided. I think something that I always noticed about myself with cello, and how I knew that I loved singing and performing more than I wanted to play cello, was that I love playing cello for myself. And the second, I'm such a showboat. I am literally the biggest show off in the world. Put me in front of like a piano and a microphone, and oh my God, like you'll never get that microphone back. It's too late for you. I'm so sorry. Like, such an extrovert, need the attention. When I play cello, I am so like, oh my God, nobody look at me. And that's really unusual for me as a personality trait, because I'm very extroverted. And so I think there's a part of me that feels like it's really vulnerable, and I think it would be really cool, but I might not be ready. It might be, I think I will, and I think it's a really cool thing that I should do on stage, but I think I've never played piano on stage before. I think because I was so like, I needed everybody to see that I wasn't just a singer-songwriter. I wanted to be a pop star. I wanted to give performance. I wanted to be a dancer. And because I have all of this training in music, I think I've actually used my career and my touring life as like boot camp for how to dance. And so now that I have spent 8 years on the road, like probably dancing too much in my shows, I'm actually at a really cool balance part of my life now, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to play piano, I'm going to play guitar on like 4 songs instead of 1. So like a third of the show is not going to be choreographed for me. I will be playing an instrument and singing, and that's the first time I have done that ever in my entire career. And so it's vulnerable and scary.
I was going to say, people are going to love that, like to see a different side of you. And I totally relate so much to what you were just saying about like, my touring and working on tour choreo was like how I learned to dance. And so I think for a long time, and possibly still, I probably dance too much in my shows, because I'm like, I'm a dancing violinist, everybody. I'm cool. Like, look at me. I can do this. Totally. I'm a pop star.
It's so like, you know, again, because we look around and especially you and me are two kind of, I think, unusual cases as well. I know that you look around and you go, I don't see myself out here. I'm truly trailblazing this space for myself. Like, I don't see any other dancing violinists out here. So like, I am the one. But that also makes it, when you're going somewhere that no one has gone before, and you look around and everybody's doing their thing, and you're like, I think I'm supposed to dance all the time, because I grew up on Britney. For me, I'm like, I grew up watching Britney Spears and Beyonce and NSYNC obsessively. You know who dances way too fucking much is NSYNC. It's the most insane. How much choreography they have is so bananas. Like, I watch their old tours and I'm like, dude, you could have cut this back 2/3 and it would have been just as exciting of a show. It's so like of that era. And so I'm really trying to challenge myself to stop imitating and make choices for myself, instead of the choices that I see everybody else making and going, cool, this is what you do. Now I'm like, no, that's what everybody else is doing. What do I want to do? How do I honor her?
Yes. Well, and also I think there's like, for me personally, a lot of my personality is exposed by the statement of like, I feel like I have to constantly be moving in order for people to want to be there and be entertained. I better be in choreography and pirouettes the whole time if I'm standing, like but you know,
everybody's gonna be so bored. It's like 4 seconds.
Yeah, they're gonna be
I have this thing where I have a water break built into the show that without
oh shoot, I'm sorry, I lost you. I don't know if it's my end or your end.
Yeah, it looks like she's red on my side too.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was me. Okay, so Betty, we can't hear you. I don't know if you lost service, but I really wanted to hear the end of that story. We'll see if she calls back in.
Okay.
But oh my gosh, so she's so cool.
Wow.
Okay, she's here.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh no, you can. What were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
Okay,
I'll wait until after. Yeah.
Okay, we're bringing her back in. Okay, Betty's back.
Oh my God, I was literally talking to you like you were still listening. And then I was like, Lindsay, you there, babe? And I realized I wasn't on the call anymore. I have no idea what happened.
The amount of times I've done that where I'm like, how long was I talking to myself?
100%. Just in a really good story. Silly.
You were saying about your water bottle break and then I lost you.
Okay. Without fail, every single time I have 30 seconds to breathe and drink water, and I will fully before the song is even over, I'm like, how are you guys doing? Immediate. And I'm like, I think that they might wait for me. Actually, I think I'm okay to take 25 seconds to breathe and take a sip of water. And and that space is important. And that's what makes the highs higher is when the lows are lower. I'm really also trying to work on I don't have to run around stillness. Stillness is a really crazy one, Lindsay. My choreographer and I have had a lot of crazy conversations about this where it is physically impossible for me to just hold a mic and stand still on stage and sing. But if I can master that, and have been working on it a lot, mastering that power of standing still on stage and letting everybody look at you and be like, yes, I'm here and I'm singing and it's enough. That when I do start moving, it's so much more impactful. But it's scary and vulnerable to be like, I'm not choreographed and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Because I watch most pop stars, it's crazy how truly choreographed we all are to within an inch of our lives,
100%. Yeah. It's comforting to have all of that choreography. And like you said, it's pretty vulnerable sometimes to realize that there is power in silence. There's power in a moment. And I'm kind of on the same journey to try to learn that as well. So that's so funny that you say that. Okay. Speaking of some of your idols, really quickly, I just want to hear, you went on tour opening for Katy Perry and Kylie Minogue years ago in Australia. And I believe you said they're some of your idols and some of your biggest influences. So how was that?
2 for 2. That was a really crazy year because I went on tour with Katy in October, and then I went back to Australia in January, the next January, and played all of the same arenas I'd just done with Katy with Kylie. And so I was
incredible.
like, oh my God, I'm a regular here. I was just here. Wow, this is my new life. Of course it took me then 8 years after that to get back on an arena tour opening. Of course, it's so funny how that works, but
isn't that funny?
Yeah. I was so struck. It was such an important time in my life to see these women that I looked up to my childhood, of course, growing up on music and then being so close to the machine of it. And seeing how they both, they're really different people, obviously, and seeing how they both managed it. Kylie is a couple years older than Katy, so she's been in it for longer. And so she had a different perspective. Katy, when I was on tour with her, she was in the middle of the Diplo baby mama drama. She was in the middle of, she was having this beef with the Australian paparazzi at Lodge. She was putting out statements being please leave me, this harassment is unbelievable. It was a really intense time in her life. And so mostly I just feel I was really struck with the all that glitters isn't gold aspect of this life and this career, and how I just felt like it was a really hard time in her life. And I was like, whoa, this person that I'm looking at, that I'm 10 feet away from, has everything I've ever wanted. And she's having a really hard time right now. Just because you've got the thing, it doesn't mean that your life is exactly everybody thinks that, oh, you've made it. And I was with her looking at her life going, oh, you're this is hard for you. And I have new perspective. And I'm so grateful for that up close and personal experience, because I think it's really easy to say until you see it live in person happening in front of you. And you're like, oh my God, she's tired and this is hard and people are mean. It was really good for me to see all of that, to sort of prepare myself a little bit more for how this world and this business can really be.
Totally. And it even kind of goes a little bit back to what you were saying in the beginning of if all we're after is reaching that pinnacle, you may get there and realize that's not going to be the happiest moment of your life. If you haven't learned how to enjoy the steps that got you there, because sometimes the peak isn't all it's cracked up to be. And if that's all you were ever chasing, then, that's a devastating moment.
Well, and that your career can be going the best it's ever gone, and your personal life can be in complete opposition. It's exactly what you were saying earlier. Like, I can feel joy in this horrible time in my life, like, and vice versa. The duality of it, I think it's really easy when you're young and driven and have nothing else in your life but this thing to like put your whole chest into, which is me at 23 on tour with Katy Perry. I was like, this is my everything. I will never do anything but work towards my goals. And so I was seeing her coming into that being like, cool. My assumption is that Katy Perry's on the biggest tour of her life. This is the most successful she's ever been. Like, everybody should just be like, this is a piece of cake. Like, we're all so jacked. And seeing the duality and opposition of her personal experience, what she was going through at the time, I was like, oh, you can have everything and still, and it doesn't define, it's like that, your self-worth being so tied into this idea of success. I'm like, well, she's really successful, but that has nothing to do with what's going on in her life, actually. Like, she still has a life that is her actual, the part that she doesn't share with people. And that's where she's struggling. Like, and I think it really showed me that, you know, that your career is not really all that you are, because it's easy to look at the most famous people, the most successful people, and be like, all I know about them is all of this crazy success, and so that must be all they are. So when they're having amazing success, you go, cool, so you must be jacked because that's all I see and this is going well. And that's not how it goes.
Well, and it also just reminds you of, like, as we make big goals and are always moving towards them and thinking, this is my thing, it's like, you can't forget about building yourself and like you said, you called it your actual life, like your personal life, the things that you actually go to sleep with and that you wake up with and the people you love, like, because at the end of the day, those are the kind of things that can hold you up no matter what is going on. You know, and so I'm sure that was a pretty powerful lesson to see, like, pretty right up close and personal. Yeah.
And I do a lot of, in my grounding stuff, the same like mirror stuff where I'm looking at myself being like, okay, that's my face. This is my body. This is the room I'm in. Like, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm doing it. The same part of that for me is like, cool. I could have the biggest moment of my career. I'm trying to think, like, I could sell out Madison Square Garden. I would still be waking up in this bed next to this person. Yeah. Like, totally. Right sizing. Like, I think it feels like, cool, this thing happened and now all of my dreams have come true. So I should be life should be perfect now. And I'm trying to disassociate from that a little bit and be like, cool, this thing happened that's very exciting. And it is what I consider to be success. And I am really proud of myself for reaching that thing. However, these are still my friends. I'm still the same person. This doesn't need to change my value of myself, because if I didn't get it, and the same reaction was as big, it would be like, cool, if I don't get this thing now, I'm going to end my own life. Like, that is how high the stakes feel when it's like, cool. And if I do get it, all of a sudden I'm finally proud of myself. It's like, no, I have to be proud of myself regardless of the outcome. I have to be okay with or without these things. This is my life. These are the people who love me regardless of if I quit today. Like, everything on top of that, great, I'll take what I can get and I will work really hard because that's what I know how to do. But I think I've finally found a place today. You know what I mean? Chat to me tomorrow. I bet it'll be different. But today, that's
the funny thing. It's like, in this moment, it's clear. You know, who knows about the next
doing
moment?
Well right now, exactly.
And that's all you can do. Is it's like you just keep bringing yourself back to those clarity moments. You hold on to them as long as they stay, and then we all get confused again. And then you have to like kind of refine that clarity again, whether it's through grounding or looking at yourself in the mirror or breath work or talking to a loved one. It's like we will forever have to be reminded of the true clarity, but I feel like every time we go back to that place, we learn it a little deeper, and hopefully it sticks. I hope it sticks a little stronger every time.
Well, and we take everything too seriously, right? I think 100%. There's stuff that matters, but it's, you know, I think that especially in this business, it's very difficult to not look around and be like, this is the most serious thing that's ever happened. I think there is a culture of that where it's like, life or death, you know, it's the hurry up and wait thing. It's like, we need this mix by end of day, and you're like, why am I sweating and crying? Like, I feel like it's like I kept seeing people post when all the NASA pictures came out of people being like, you really need this spreadsheet by end of week. Like, it's really that important. And it's like the pictures of the galaxy and how extensive it is and how small and insignificant we all are. And it's, yeah, it's like, that's probably a good way to remember it, of being like, actually not like, all of this is great. And also totally chill. Like, being at an event, you know, we rile each other up. We're all somebody in the room and it feels exciting. And you're like, oh, I made it. It's like we're just a bunch of people and we all poop and we're all like dealing with our own stuff. You know, that's kind of the thing I keep looking around. I have such imposter syndrome. And now I'm more, when I go into those rooms with people that intimidate me, I'm like, I'm a super cool girl and you should be super lucky to chat to me. Not because I have some kind of success financially or publicly, but because I'm super chill and I'm like, fun and cool. You know, it's
I love that.
Disassociating from success as the only thing that will make me happy, because it has yet to make me happy, and I've had lots of it, you know.
You know, or also as if that's the only thing that gives you worth as a human or makes you worth being around, because of course that's not true. And I'm going to remember that next time I walk into a writing room and I, you know, have that thought of like, oh, this is hard for me. I'm going to be like, no, I'm a super cool girl, and like they're probably
everybody
a super cool person.
Yes,
and we're going to be
psyched to hang out with you. Yes, I love that attitude.
I'm going to have my own like Betty Who mantra cheerleader in my head. It's like, yes, I love it.
You can text me any day and I will gas you up.
Thank you. Be like, yeah, you're a super cool chick. They're lucky. So one last thing before I let you go, because I feel like I've kept you for so long, but I think it's so fun that you are you're the host of a show right now. It's called The One That Got Away. I'm just, you know, in a nutshell, how has that experience been for you?
Oh my God. Honestly, long story short, it was the best. I'm so grateful. It's kind of what I was saying earlier about like the different creative opportunities where I'm not in charge. I think that's a really important balance from putting my soul and blood, sweat, and tears into an album that I'm completely in charge of. It's nice. It was so nice to walk into a room with a bunch of creative people who really know how to make a reality television show and know that I have no idea how to make a reality television show. So I had a beginner's mindset, which is I think where so much of that beautiful, like, it's hard when you know so much about music and you're like, yeah, I fucking know everything about music. I get it. And you're like, oh, it's nice to not know anything. I should probably bring this attitude back to music, which is like, what do I know? Like, you tell me where to go and I'm having a great time. It lowered the stakes for me so much. I was so happy to be a part of a project that I just like, it was a job, you know, someone told me where to stand and what to do and what they needed from me. And it was so relieving to have parameters like that. So I had a great, amazing time. I want to do 15 more seasons. I'm hoping, if you haven't watched it yet, stream The One That Got Away and tell all your friends, because we're hoping to get a second season.
Well, it's funny. My manager, right before I jumped on this call, she's like, you have to ask her about The One That Got Away. And she's like, and you should watch it because you would love it. Because apparently she's watched the whole thing and she said it was really, really fun. I watched the trailer and it looks terrifying. Like, I literally was thinking, I was like, gosh, all my exes are like married. So I was like, who would they bring? Like, would it be like Benny from 5th grade? Like, I don't know.
Yes, but it literally like would be, by the way. It was so crazy. Some of these people haven't seen each other since like confirmation class when they were 12 years old. Like, crazy history. How do they find the people? Our casting process is, I think, one of the fun mysteries of the show. And I've sort of been instructed more or less to be like, wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, I get you.
Easy for me to say also, because I fully don't know how they did it. So I'm like, isn't it crazy what they did? All I do know is that like casting already for reality shows like this takes so long. There's so many people involved. It is such an extensive process. And casting for this show took twice, if not 3 times as long as it does for a regular dating reality show of this caliber, because of this sort of aspect of talking to friends and family. And on my amp show last week, I actually had one of the contestants on the show, and we were talking about, I was like, I know what I experienced from my side, but it's way different because it was a job that I got paid to go do. You're having to go be vulnerable in front of
Oh yeah.
the world
And put your heart out there.
Yes.
And oh gosh.
Because it really is opening old wounds. That's the really like the different part of this reality show versus other dating shows is that it really is about like, no, I have a relationship with this person. It's not me and some other hot dummy on an island seeing if we can have fun. It's like, I could have fun with any hot dummy on some island for 2 weeks for the show.
Right.
Like, great. That's easy. Having to go on a date with someone that you haven't seen in 10 years and talk about that is like way more vulnerable. And it's really exciting to watch, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a sucker for reality love shows, so I will definitely go watch it. I'm going to spread the word to my peeps.
Right up your alley. Yes, please tell the world.
100%. Yeah, it's going to 100% be up my alley. Like, I could never be that vulnerable in that. Like, I'm vulnerable in a lot of ways, kind of like you were saying. That is not one of the ways that I would ever be vulnerable. Totally. Yeah, that is not it for me. But no, I think that's really cool that you, I think it's really important to make yourself a student sometimes repeatedly, especially like you're saying, we know music so well. We're like the bosses in that area of our lives, and we've done it for so long. But then when you step into the role of being kind of the student, you're learning, and it just completely shifts your mindset. And I think that's so important to continuously do. So like props to you for like getting into acting and like being a host and just all this stuff. It's really cool. You're kind of peppered everywhere. And like, I just think that's really amazing.
Thank you. Renaissance women we are. Where I genuinely believe that like literally, it sounds so silly, but if you believe the sky is truly the limit, and I have often been someone who I look around at my life and I'm like, I want to act more. And so I'm like, cool, I should do that. So I'm like, great, I will. And it'll turn into something or it won't, but I have been taking tons of auditions in the last couple of years and I've gotten it so much better. And I'm like, cool, I don't need to be in a movie or book a TV show to know that I've become actually a really good actor through my work because I wanted to do more acting. And like, auditioning is acting. Like, it doesn't have to be because I had some like external validation again from like booking the job. I'm like, no, I'm having a great time doing this. And it was it's so refreshing to walk in and go, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I just want to have a good time and bring good energy to this project. And then I had a really profound moment of going, oh, I can do this with music, where I go, hey, it's not about me not knowing anything, but it's about being able to show up and want to bring the best energy and be a good leader. It's hard when everybody's looking at you, expecting that from you. There's like a tiny part of me that's like, well, now I don't want to give it to you anymore. It's like when it's not expected of you, it's so easy to show up and do that. But if it is, then I feel like I'm pressured into it and I'm like rebelling or something. So I learned a lot of just realizing how easy it is actually to show up and have a good attitude and be a good person and be a great team member. And I want to do that for myself as well as for these other projects I'm working on. Because I deserve that for myself too. You don't forget that. Yeah. You're like, I guess,
when I'm doing my projects, I want to make them feel this free and this like liberating and, collaborative, all those things. So that's a really cool lesson. But, thank you again so much for chatting with me. I know you get to do this again tomorrow. I know. But I really appreciate your time.
Maybe we can return the favor and I can interview you on my show so that I can ask you questions. I feel like I talked a lot today, so I love the chance to then get into it with you and hear all of your perspective. So we'll do this again, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. And please, 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 let's reach out to me when your album is coming out and let me know what I can do to support you. And I don't know, I'll make a TikTok to something, just in my own little corner. I want to be a cheerleader.
And this feeling is mutual. I'm so proud of us both for making it this far, and we sisters are got to stick together. So I'm fully here for you as well. And thank you for having me on, and thanks everybody for listening and being here.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Well, we'll touch base soon. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day and can't wait for the album.
Lindsey, thank you so much for having me. Mwah. Have the best rest of your night, babe.
Bye. Okay.
Hey.
Well, that was so fun.
That was incredible. She said something that I wanted to touch on real quick. She very early on in the conversation, she talked about the energy that she brings to something. And it resonated so much. She talked about like bringing energy onto stage that she kind of like wanted to reflect and like, you know, bring to the audience. And I know we do like breath work and meditation and like our prayer circle and everything. I feel like we should do something where we just get hyped before a show and we just like bring that energy into ourselves to put out there into our audience.
Yeah, you know, it's been a long time, but we used to have like pre-show dance parties. This was back when like, like it was because me and Gavi would always do it. And I think after, you know, when things changed, I stopped doing them, and it would be a fun thing to bring back. And, you know, and that's actually why I started doing all this meditating and breath work before the shows. Is actually, I remember having a conversation with the dancers and the band members saying, and I was like, guys, we all have an aura, you know, and we have literally an energy field around us. And I really do believe that like exactly what she says, I've thought this before, that the greatest performers, I think they have an incredible ability to like send out their aura and their energy like strongly and farther than, you know, possibly the performers that aren't as good. And it's something that I love that she said that, because it's something I truly believe, and I'm, you know, actively working like always to try to think, how can I make mine stronger? Because, you know, I think the difference between a great show and an okay show usually isn't how you perform, it's how you feel. It's that feeling, you know, that you give the audience, and in return, if they're feeling it and they like are vibing that energy, they send it right back to you, and you feel it, and it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That resonated so much with me, and I quickly jotted down a note because I was like, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we should, you know, I don't know, maybe I'll bring that up to the dancers again to just share as like a, like, because I truly feel like, you know, I felt it when we all did breath work before the last show. I could feel that strength and that energy. And I love the idea of bringing back the dance parties, because that was fun. We'll pray and then we'll dance.
Yeah, perfect.
Eat, pray, dance. But yeah, she was so well spoken too.
Oh yeah, very. Like I love, very.
I love it when you just listen to somebody and you're just like, ditto. Couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to. I think tomorrow I want to tune into her show and hear what she has to say.
Right. I know. I should tune into other people's show just to be like, how else do people do this? Because like. You know, I've never actually gotten to listen to another AMP show, so I should tune on other shows, see if I'm even doing this right.
I think you are.
I don't think there is a right way.
Yeah. I think we have some success here, right?
Yeah, we're doing good. We got almost 50 friends hanging out with us. And by the way, guys, thank you for coming every week and listening. Like I love doing this radio show, and it's so much fun to me. You know, and I know we're going a little long today, but I think I want to just play the last song that I was going to play from her new single. I think this is the newest one. It's called She Can Dance. And it's funny, I had a whole like list, like a huge list of questions I had prepared, and I barely got to any of them because it was such a rich and real conversation, which is great. I mean, I much prefer a conversation to go this way. So that was great. But I was originally going to ask her to talk about this song because I believe it's a kind of, she wrote almost like a biographical piece about her life and put it into a song, and about how she kind of has gone through all these different phases of her life. But she keeps dancing. So let's check it out. This is She Can Dance. It's her newest single. All right. I love that. I love that song. How it just is kind of like, no matter what you're going through, like you can dance. You can dance with your life. Dance like no one's watching. Dance if they are watching. All good.
I love it.
So cool. Well, thanks everybody for being here today. It was such a great chat. And I guess we will look forward to seeing you next week. I know we have a really fun guest next week as well, so stay tuned. And until then, everyone, sayonara.
Bye.
Bye.